So I wanted to do a little breakdown, an actual case study of the back end behind what actually went into Marissa's journey from starting with us earning around $4,000 a month and growing here at Uncovered to over $160,000 in a period of around 7 months. We can kind of strip it back to the start and actually where she started and how her brand was and everything was at the start and at the beginning. So she actually started here with around 1.4 thousand followers, just one reel posted, an old picture of how her account was, and there was obviously feed posts as well. Earnings wise, very inconsistent. So in September was one of her best months at around $4,000. The months before that was very inconsistent, kind of hovering around that $1,000 to $4,000 region. Under 2,000 followers in terms of Instagram, no real brand and no real structure and consistency behind social media posting, inconsistent earnings on OnlyFans, struggling with growing her social media, and also very skeptical. She's never been with an agency and didn't really know what it entailed and how it actually worked. And that was one of the main things that we kind of went through. And she actually mentioned it in model interview where she went through how she was skeptical. And what we came in to do is really just easen that stress and make the process as smooth for her as possible. So she knew exactly the things that we were doing, exactly what we were going to do, how we were going to drive results. And we went off and done that and were able to drive results with relative speed within the first week of taking over the account. But where milestone one kind of kicked in was really maximizing other platforms. And our platforms that we really focused on was Twitter. So you can kind of see the impressions here per day, around 1,000 to 3,000 followers. This was the actual analytics over last December to January, which was around 72 million impressions, 1.1 million profile visits, 20,000 reply. Impressions wise, averaging around 3 million impressions a day. This is something that we really maximized on, especially at the start, to provide those instant results with the Reddit as well. And that's how in March, so within around the 4 to 5 month region, we were able to cross past that 100,000 gross mark. And as you can see, in terms of with this revenue that was earned, again, the focus is always within the messaging. And that's where on the back end of any OnlyFans account with an agency that have the right team and systems in place, the money should always be around 80 to 90% from the actual messaging on the account. And one thing is, again, with other platforms such as Twitter, such as Reddit, our focus will always be Instagram, but we use these platforms on the side so that they provide that instant hit of traffic. And a lot of other agencies just neglect that and kind of tell you that you have to wait months for your Instagram to go viral, which simply isn't the case. And it's more so about actually knowing how to run those other traffic sources. Milestone 2 was actually her growth on Instagram. So her Instagram was consistently growing month on month, and we saw a really big push in around the April period where we started to hit that 100,000 follower mark. As you can see, the average views were really high. We can go through some videos here. So 2.8 million, 2.9, 4.5, 4.6, 5.4, 4.6, 1.4, 37.8, 66.8. This is a great example of one idea, of one video. We managed to just cross over 100 million views, which was a massive milestone and a massive symbol of the work that was put in with Finlay and with the marketing department on the ideas, on the reiteration, and really on the shooting. Our main focus was really perfecting that content and perfecting how good it's filmed, the editing side of things, really mastering the editing with it and making sure that it goes viral. And as a byproduct of that focus, we saw the results here really push when it comes to traffic, when it comes to the performance on the OnlyFans, and when it comes to the sales at the end of the day. The next milestone was actually her paying for her house in cash, which was such a great achievement. It's one of the things she actually mentioned to me within onboarding and within starting here at Uncovered, that she's always wanted to own a house. She's always had an idea of what house she wanted to own. She actually bought a house that was far bigger than her expectations, which is really great to see. And it was a lovely period where she was able to buy the house of her dreams and move out into her own house. The next part was actually buying her second car, which was a Corvette, which was another one of her dreams, which again was an amazing achievement, an amazing thing that we were able to help along that journey. And where it comes to our current situation, so in terms of our current situation now, in terms of the Instagram, as you can see, just hovering over 300,000 followers. One of the main focuses now is really that clear, defined brand. As you can see, with the content that's performing now and with the actual types and ideas of content, all of this is intentional within the marketing department, within the campaigns that we set out, and within really optimizing for conversions. And that's something that we really focus on, because when it comes to growing on Instagram, when it comes to going viral, it's a constant readapting and it's a constantly adjusting to what's actively working and what will push that brand further. And that's why you can see a lot of new different ideas being executed and being filmed, which are really performing in terms of conversions on our account. And I wanted to pull up also in terms of the earnings from when we started with the account and how we kind of grew to. So I wanted to kind of break down that 7-month period of when we grew the account to $160,000 a month for the month of May, and also the month of April, just shy of that. And obviously she's still hovering right now around 0.05% with 41,000 in terms of the pending. But yeah, in terms of April, again, you can kind of see the growth journey of really focusing on the content. You can kind of see the earnings averaging between that 3,000 to 4,000 a day. Obviously, you see that really big spike there, that $7,000 a day. And then you can really see the push as we move on to the back end of April, where we're starting to push to 6,000 days, 7,000 days, even the best day at 13.7 thousand, which was an amazing achievement. 8,000, 6,000, 6,000, 6,000, and then hovering around that 6,000 mark with just shy of a 10K day. And then also we go into May, where the results really kind of sustained or hovered around the same. Again, just really focusing on that consistency with the traffic, which again, you can kind of see 5,000, 6,000, 4,000, and again, really just hovering around that for the month. And the main focus here is really within the messaging. How the messaging on the account is really what maximizes the traffic, because the first step is obviously getting the traffic into the account. The next step is really maximizing it with the sales team. And that's where the consistency on the earnings really all from the sales team. As you can see, about 80% of the earnings of the account comes from the actual messages and the subscriptions from the account. And the main really thing with this breakdown is what I wanted to kind of go through is how is this actually possible for you? And the key thing here is actually with ourselves and Marissa was having an aligned target and setting a clear target that we both were aligned and have that belief and the conviction that we were going to hit. You can kind of see as well from our client interview how I told her at the start, like we knew we were going to make 100,000 a month with her. And she believed in that as well. And she was open-minded and put the consistency and the work in on the filming side to really perfect the ideas and really perfect the content, because there's a lot that went into it and it is a two-way street. It's the work from us as a team and also the work on the creator with actually filming the ideas that we present, the improvements that we give, and really focusing on the main drivers. And the main kind of takeaway for this case study is, as a creator yourself, is really focusing on what sets you apart. Because what we prioritize is branding specific to you as a creator. What works for one of our clients is completely different what works for another client, because it's always tailored and personalized to you on a one-to-one basis. So the main kind of takeaway is what sets you apart? What's the biggest marketable thing that you are able to double down on that angle, and that will set you apart amongst the crowd and amongst the other creators in the space? And if you really hone in on that one thing and you hone in on that skill of executing and creating that at a high level, the chances are that you're going to replicate these kind of results. So I hope that kind of cleared it up. I hope that made it a lot more clearer what actually goes into it on the back end. And I hope you learned something to apply to your own account if you're watching this video.